These are my initial thoughts after the Alabama versus Mississippi State game today. And of course, the first thing that I have to mention is that we're all really sad, college football fans across the nation, that Tua Tagovailoa received a hip injury today. And some of these initial early reports are saying that it's a dislocated hip. I'm not going to say for sure that's what it is. Yeah, I'll wait till an official statement comes out from the coach. But it doesn't look good. It looks like Tua is probably going to miss the rest of the season, which is just sad to see from a love of the game perspective. And it's really sad. And I think I saw on social media that there were some people celebrating it or like doing crazy stuff like that. And it's just real shame on you. I don't know what type of person you have to be to do that type of thing, but I would never celebrate the injury of another player. But even if that's just a small minority of people, even for those small numbers, like that's just horrible. Like, don't ever do something like that. But also, I'm going to say that I don't question whether or not Tua should have been in the game. And this is coming from a person who, I'm going to tell you something about me. When it comes to injuries for these football players, I always say, and I'm going to remove myself from all situations, and I'm going to say, like, in general, I will always tell a player, if you're hurt, don't play. And, that's really, really different from what we hear from a lot of fans, from a lot of coaches, from a lot of takes where they're just like, oh, you're healthy enough to play, go play, you can get out there and do something to help your team and all that. I'm like, sure, that sounds great, but you also have to look out for the investment of yourself. You're playing a very dangerous sport, and you have to look out for the health, of your body and in your tool that allows you to make money if you're going to go into the NFL. Like, you have to protect your health and look out for your overall healthiness moving forward in your life. So for me, in general, I'm always on the player's side when it comes to stuff like getting paid for your likeness or, holding out when things are just dangerous for you. But in this particular case, it's not a question of whether or not he should have been in the game. He was medically cleared to play. And of course, he was going to deal with some soreness. We know he had a surgery, so of course, he is not too far removed from the previous injury. But this is a freak injury. This is a hip injury. This could have happened earlier in the game when he got fell on multiple times. It could have happened next week against Western Carolina. It could have happened against Auburn. So a lot of people look at this and they're responding to it out of their emotion without adding the logic to it, or not realizing that holding him out either way wouldn't have, it is not making the type of difference they think. Basically, hindsight is 2020. And it's like, okay, so hold him out of this game, and then he gets hurt the next game or the game after that, or in the playoffs if they make it to the playoffs. And you just kind of see it's kind of a backwards logic when you really think about it in that way. Like I said, they wanted to get him a 2-minute offense situation, which is completely understandable for your starting quarterback who is medically cleared to play. Nick Saban is not trying to hurt players or trying to push them to do things when they're not ready. I know there are some people who are trying to argue that. And like I said, this is coming from a person who I said, I will always tell any player, if you're injured, don't play. But if you are going to play, make sure you're safe. And in Tua's case, he was medically cleared to play. He didn't hurt himself in the same place that he was already injured in. This was an injury to a completely new place that does not happen in college football that often at all. Like, how many times do you see a hip injury from guys falling on you? This could happen at any time. And so, once again, I'll just say it's a very sad situation. And it sucks to see this. And man, I really wish the best, because this could be Tua's last season at Alabama. He could very well just get healthy and go into the NFL. And it'd be a sad way to end it. But we don't know anything. We'll see what happens when the reports come out as the weekend goes on, as the next week comes up. But before that point, there was a whole game that happened, if you weren't aware, of Alabama. It was just something I really noticed about this team. I was starting to think as the weeks would go by that Alabama, their ceiling isn't as high in terms of having a disciplined team this year. So many missed tackles and penalties in just situations that they shouldn't have gotten into. And you'll see what I mean. I'm going to show you some of these as I'm talking about it. So throughout this game, I would see stuff like, and this is all in the first half before Tua got injured, Najee Harris missing a block on his assignment when the guy's coming through the blitz and they get a chance to hit Tua. Alabama's getting personal fouls for late hits and roughing the passers and hits after the play is over. I think I saw Kendall Randolph do that, the tight end, number 85. You see Landon Dickerson get a personal foul, which probably shouldn't have been called. It seemed like a bad call, but he also got a personal foul. Jerry Jeudy, when he's running a slant route, he gets a face mask call because he has his hand up too long trying to stiff arm the guy and has his hand up too long pushing him away. You get Alabama's defense when Mississippi State gets on their second drive. They basically gift Mississippi State free yardage up and down the field and allow them to score a touchdown. It just got bad. It got really bad, and you saw these type of plays over and over and over again. And this led to some of the things I noticed that Alabama was 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 9. It was all these long third downs, and this has been a reoccurring thing throughout the season. There are too many third and longs for this Alabama offense, and this is with Tua in the game. So without Tua, you got to expect then that, let's say that trend continues, and Mac Jones is playing from now on. How many 3rd and 9s, 3rd and longs that we expect Mac Jones to come in and reasonably pull through? Tua is special in that way, where it's it's 3rd and 11, and you're we probably can make that. Whereas with Mac Jones, it's this is a new situation. This is something he's not used to, making magic out of nothing. So the fact that you're in these 3rd and longs in the first place, that's really, really bad. We shouldn't be consistently doing that when you have the running backs on Najee Harris and Brian Robinson, who's supposed to get us ahead of the sticks. But mistakes and penalties, the roughing the passes and the holding, the offensive pass interference, those are very horrible things to be having happen while you are playing football. This team's discipline is very low, which is very uncharacteristic of a Nick Saban team. And I'm wondering, like I said, that's why I say the ceiling for this team, you got to have realistic expectations. If you can't do the small things right, they're also missing tackles. I saw Shaheem Carter miss a tackle today. I saw Anthony Jennings miss a tackle today. Xavier McKinney. Everybody is having a rough time, where it seems to be affecting them throughout. And so you add all of that, plus the fact that not only did Tua get injured today, but 2 starting defensive linemen got injured today. So Raekwon Davis had to be carted off the field with his ankle injury. And not only Raekwon Davis got injured, but also DJ Dale, the starting nose tackle, also got hurt today. So now you have 2 more defensive linemen down. Alabama was already thin on defense. They just got thinner. And they were already having discipline issues with missed tackles on defense. And missing these guys isn't that helpful. I also saw Shane Lee get beat on a running back on a corner route, which you saw from LSU. Clyde Edwards-Helaire killed Alabama in that front. So Mississippi State saw that, and they did a little bit of that today. So you're expecting teams like Auburn and so on, whoever play in a bowl game or possibly the playoffs, if that happens, that they'll probably try to do the same thing. So Alabama is actually in a very interesting situation. We'll see how the team responds moving forward. They got this win at 38-7. The season is not over. It's not gloom and doom, which I hope that this video doesn't do that. But I do like to point out the things that are important to do. So I said all of that, the initial thoughts, and I know that sounds really bad starting out. But this team, with all of those issues, still won 38-7. Still had a fairly dominant performance. The defense, even with some of the mistakes that they make, can get teams off the field, for the most part. This defense isn't like the 2015 or 2016 Alabama defense, but with advanced metrics and a few other things, this defense is still a top 25 unit in the nation, which is crazy to think about, because if you listen to Alabama fans on social media, they say this is the worst defense ever, one of the worst defenses in the nation. It's horrible. You hear things like that, and you're you're exaggerating. That's a bit of hyperbole. You're going a little bit too far. I think Alabama is just used to having a certain standard of elite dominance, that anything below that is seen as horrible. And that's a really, really spoiled expectation to have as a college football fan. And part of that's Nick Saban's fault for being so good at coaching. But what can you do? And so this is where we are right now for Alabama. You will have to see how they respond. They outscored Mississippi State 3-0 in the second half. So the defense continued to play well. Mac Jones in the offense, definitely, they're just not as prolific as they are with Tua. It's going to become a different type there. The way they attack you with Mac Jones in is a little bit different. He doesn't do all the things that Tua can do. Doesn't necessarily mean he's bad or he can't make a prolific offense. but they're going to have to learn how to make it happen with Mac Jones. So that'll be something to look out for as the rest of this season unfolds. So I actually ended up talking a lot more than I thought I would in this video. Let me know what you think. I'm probably going to do some kind of advanced breakdowns on certain things in this game. But also I want to just get into more this college football season because it's becoming more interesting as the weeks go by. Let me know what you thought about this game. Tell me your thoughts on the discipline. I really want to talk about the discipline of this Alabama team, and what do you project moving forward for Alabama without Tua Tagovailoa? See you in the comments, and I'll see you next time.